say. Some few weeks ago, we were in Rwanda, and they were very enthusiastic about this program. They really wanted to know what would be the contribution of our programs towards their development. And back to what you were asking about what we are doing as an examination body, is we want to bring the best from the world into our system. When we were doing the benchmark, as we were reviewing the curriculum, we realized that there are topics, there are areas which are necessary in the practice of HR, things like analytics, things like HR accounting, things like business law enhanced and updated, because we realized that HR does not operate in isolation, that it operates within a sphere of a business environment. So we want our professionals, once they go out, they have a business mind, they are agile, they are well tooled and retooled, so that then they are able to address the challenges of this century and the century to come, not only in Africa, not only in Kenya, but across the world.
Speaking of being agile, Mr. Nicholas, we already have a question coming in here. One is asking, who exactly is HR side on? Who exactly does HR represent? Is it the employee or is it the employer?
Now, taking sides will be a bit simplistic.
Right.
Because whereas in the traditional sense, the HR is for the employee. But we acknowledge that this practice of HR, you do it in a work environment.
Right.
It is in an organized labor. So we come in as problem solvers. We come in as business partners. Because ideally, if you don't look at the interests of a business, you will have nowhere to employ these people.
Right.
So much as we want the businesses to grow, we want the businesses to flourish, so that through the flourishing, through the expansion of business, then our people are able to get employment. So we look at the side of the employee, we also look at the side of the employer, and then we balance interest.
Right.
Because as heads of HR, I know that is a question we have. You know, my life has been in HR, and those are the questions we've always been asked. On one hand, you are an employee of an organization.
Of course.
On the other hand, you are joining management to punish employees. So sometimes now that balance, are you an employee, are you an employer? It's a delicate balancing act, because ideally you have to keep on balancing this interest to make sure that each supports the other. Yes.
And all, of course, in attaining the goal of whatever company or business one is in. A lot of employers have decried a gap between what is taught in schools, what is certified, and what is required in the job field. Where exactly does this gap come from, and how exactly is HRM PEB closing this gap?
Thank you. You will realize that the job market is fluid. It's not solid, it's a moving target, because the skills of yesterday are not the skills required now. When we were doing the review of the curriculum, these are the efforts we did. We talked, in fact, in our committee of experts, we had professionals from the private sector, from the public sector, and we wanted to know from them, what is it that they require from HR professionals? So they told us, we need people who are good with figures. That is why we incorporated the element of statistics and a bit of analytics into the curriculum. They said we want people who can do basic accounting, so that then they are able to look at the figures and see their effect on the overall performance of an organization. So our curriculum put all that into perspective. So I can tell you with confidence that once you are certified as an HR professional with CHRP, you have all the necessary skills, you have all the necessary knowledge to handle the challenges of this world in terms of HR. Yes.
For the youth who is currently watching the marketplace, who can either be persuaded or dissuaded to, get certified in this particular field, could you maybe tell us what is the typical timeline one would take to get certified as a professional in this field?
From the beginning, you see, certification, that's the apex.
Right.
And at the apex, people come from different avenues. There are those who are coming directly from high school, and there are those who are working. The bulk of our students are people who are in employment
Right.
or who are in practice. So they want to be certified because of the benefits that come with certification. So depending on at what level you are coming in, because our curriculum is structured in part 1, part 2, part 3.
Right.
That's the beginners, the middle, and the up. So depending, there are those who will start at the bottom, there are those who will start at the middle, and there are those who will start at the top, depending on the experience you have, because you would realize that part of our effort to bring in, we give exemptions. Like, for example, if there are topics you've covered, and if there are areas you are comfortable with, then you are able to give us the evidence, we evaluate, then we give you an exemption. So depending on at what level you come, but assuming you are coming as a fresher, within two to 2.5 years, you will have covered what we believe is sufficient content for you to be certified. Yes.
Mr. Nicholas, talking about, certification, you've said this is the apex, this is, the peak of ensuring that you are acknowledged and recognized as a HR professional. The government was looking into ensuring that informally trained professionals are also acknowledged when it comes to certification and being recognized as professionals in this particular field. Is there a way in which people who have experience, not necessarily papers, can also get certified?
Thank you. You would realize that there is a push in government to recognize what is called recognition of prior learning, that is RPL.
Yes.
And it's across all sectors. The other day, the policy, Kenya National Qualifications Authority, launched a policy on RPL. So we are riding on that because we acknowledge that there are professionals in the market who are practicing HR, and they may not have the time or the muscle to go back to class. So we are working, in fact, we are at an advanced stage. We want to look at and set a framework so that then we are able to look at the portfolio, what is it that they have done, so that then we are able to equate this into study hours and then have them certified under that program of recognition of prior learning. So we are at the forefront. In fact, we have been working closely with the Kenya National Qualifications Authority because it's a new concept in Kenya. It's well established in South Africa and in other developed countries, especially the Scandinavian. But that is a concept we want to borrow because ideally we have quite resourceful people who are practicing HR. Most of them are university lecturers. Most of them are veterans in industry. So these are the people we want to bring on board so that then through that avenue, we have them holding the CHRP certificate.
You've talked about veterans and, professors being a part of this particular framework that is being forged to ensure that a lot of people who are not necessarily papered can also get certified. What other stakeholders or who else is involved in this particular process and ensuring the people who need it the most are the ones who can benefit from it?
We are working closely with the industry, that is the Federation of Kenya Employers. We are looking at trade unions, we are looking at the government, Ministry of Labor, State Department of Public Service. So it's quite